Well, hey everyone, welcome to Chasing Giants TV. I'm Terry Peer, and we have been just poured on rain all week, so everything's a little bit behind. I'm out at the farm today. We got a break, really nice sunny weather, and we're gonna spray. If you catch some background noise, I got the agitator running on the Fimco sprayer in the back of the side-by-side. We're gonna spray our residual pre-emergent for our corn ground. I'm gonna spray some Roundup and Clethodim on an alfalfa field that we're going to do no-till. I'm actually going to do one section as a test, no-till versus till. But while that's mixing up, you guys heard on the podcast this last week's Mike's Mighty Micros. We're working with them as our Farming for Nutrients initiative. So we're going to be talking about this a lot through the food plot season. For instance, every time we cut our clover or alfalfa, we're going to come back with a spray of this. But also coming back and spraying my fruit trees today while the pump's agitating. So I got a couple minutes that I want that mixed up really good. We're gonna go and spray this. Now, again, this is balancing micronutrients in all natural. And Mike told me to warn me not to use the word chemical, but folks, everything's a chemical, I get it. But we're putting all natural stuff, not all of the stuff that we're worried about making us sick. All natural ingredients in this formulation. And what I did is I went home and got I had a brand new pump sprayer that I mixed up. And my wife had just bought some tomato plants from the local farm store, and they look pretty sickly. And I just sprayed a mist on those things with the Mike's Mighty Micros, and they are just as lush and bounced back as could be. So one thing to note, whether you're spraying your rose bushes, your vegetables in your garden, your trees, or your food plots, we want a mist. We don't want to make it like it's big water droplets hitting it. We want at least an hour after you mist these leaves and get them good and saturated before it rains or gets any other type of precipitation on it. So try to take the nozzle tip of your sprayer and get it down to a mist and mist all of those leaves as thick as you can. We want it setting on the leaf to absorb. We won't want to put it in spray mode, and spray like a garden hose onto it. That doesn't last as long or get absorbed into the plant quite as bit. So while that's mixing up, I'm going to take you along. We're going to spray our new fruit trees that we just planted that several of you said I planted wrong. That's okay. We'll see if they live or not now that we're putting Mike's Mighty Micros on it. So come along for the ride. We're also going to look at clover a little bit later. A lot of people are really aggressive when it comes to throwing like Clethodim on clover to get rid of the grasses. I'm going to show you a perfect example of where mowing is just going to be the perfect script for a great clover plot without having to put chemicals on it. So stay tuned. Thanks for your support. Make sure you like and subscribe down below as you're watching. couple weeks ago we planted some fruit trees here, but this has been a clover plot for quite a few years now. And I think it's the perfect place for me to stop and answer some questions about how to maintenance clover. If you look behind me, I got a lot of grasses in here, but the clover is phenomenal. And where I think a lot of people make a mistake is they're so quick to throw Clethodim or 2,4-DB, other select herbicides to a clover patch when simply mowing it is the best solution. Folks, here's the honest truth. We use chemicals, herbicide chemicals that is. It's a necessary part of what we do, but we also want to try to minimize how much we use. We also want to minimize overdosing or overusing, because we've seen what mare's tail water hemp does. It just continues to demand the seed manufacturers to make more GMO strains that are resistant, and all these chemicals that who knows what is doing to us. So we're trying to minimize and bring down. And clover maintenance is one of those things that I think easily we can minimize how much chemicals, herbicide chemicals that is, we're putting on the ground. So as we walk around here today, there's a couple things that I want to show you. When do I mow my clover? You look out across a couple of these videos that I'm playing as I'm talking right now. What you're seeing is about half of this clover field is actually in bloom. That's about when I want to come in and nip the top of it off. So the clover right now is about mid-shin, not quite to my knees. The grasses are much higher. We're going to go ahead and just cut the tops of those off. You can use like a zero-turn mower, but I like to leave it a little bit higher than that, maybe about that 4 to 5 inch. Think about it as I want to take the top half of it off. Whatever I'm doing with that. Now if you do bring a zero turn in here with the deck all the way up, it cuts it pretty low, but it will bounce back. It just takes longer. If you're worried about not having anything for the deer to eat, maybe it's in September, closer to deer season, go in and just mow half the plot, and then a week later mow the other half. Right now it doesn't matter, but those of you who are maintaining clover later in the year and you're worried about taking that food source away while you're hunting it, just take half of it off and do it in stages and kind of rotate it. But minimize how much chemical we're putting on it. If it gets bad and you need to shoot it with Clethodim, that's a good choice to kill the grasses in your clover. 2,4-DB obviously controls broadleafs if you have that issue, but I'm telling you folks, mowing it is your best solution. And how often do you mow? Look at it and see when these blooms are coming up, and overtake about half of the plot, then cut the top of it off. We want to get that young growth. As the plant is growing, that genetics in the plant is wanting to reproduce and create seed. So it goes from creating nutrition to creating seed. We want to cut those seeds off, seed heads, blooms, just whack them off, and it grows new, lush, nutritious food for our animals. So mowing it is the best solution, folks, not only for weeds, but also for plant health. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to go in and spray Mike's Mighty Micros after we mow every time. Mike's Mighty Micros is an all-natural additive we can run through a pump sprayer, hand sprayer, or with our boomed. But go in and spray that clover or alfalfa after we mow, and that's going to give it a shot of all of the micronutrients, all natural, so that that plant can reach its genetic potential as it's growing. Now what Mike's Mighty Micros does is it absorbs through the leaf. So if you're cutting it completely way down with a zero turn and having to let it grow back, you might want to give it a little bit. If you're just cutting the top half and you have a lot of leaf material, go ahead and spray it as soon as we mow. But I'm telling you folks, balancing out the micronutrients is where it's at. So Mike's Mighty Micros is going to be a pivotal part of farming for nutrients for Chasing Giants as we continue to move forward, not only in my food plots, but also in my garden, my wife's flower beds, everything else. So balancing all of those natural ingredients for bigger, healthier plants, but most of all, more nutrition. We're letting that plant reach its genetic potential, just like Don talked about with the apple, biting into it and it being the juiciest thing ever. We want our deer to bite into these plants and it be the best thing they've ever tasted, and guess what, they come back for more. So Mike's Mighty Micro is a vital part of everything we do. So it's getting ready to rain. I thought I was going to have some time here this morning to do a little bit of work, but we got severe storms blowing in earlier than expected. So make sure that when you spray your mics, you get no rain within an hour. We want this product to be sprayed on while it's completely dry, no dew, no condensation, but make sure that you have at least an hour before you get any rain. That way it's able to soak in through the leaf, not dilute. And the best thing you can do is spray this on as a mist, a really fine mist. It makes this product go a little bit longer because you're not shooting it out to a garden hose, but it also gets that mist coated on the leaves and lets it absorb in better. One thing we are going to do before we mow is we're going to walk this little clover plot and make sure there's no fawns laying in there. This is the time of year you got to be really careful and check your plots, check where you're mowing. I don't like to mow at all except for mowing the clover. Obviously we got to mow the hay fields, but make sure you're walking those fields prior to mowing, and so we don't run over any fawns. They'll just, this time of year when they're newborns, they'll just lay unless you run right over them, and we don't want that. All right, we're gonna check height here real quick, and I got the bush hog raised up. You can see I'm still leaving a lot of leaf material, but the camera probably does not show it very well. I'm probably cutting, let's see here. So that's probably still cutting it 10 inches tall, and you can see what I've cut. If I get down low enough, all of those grasses and the tops of the clover is going to be nipped off. So let's go around and get this cut, and then we'll get it sprayed. Okay, well that's a wrap on this project. Again, clover maintenance, I encourage you to use your mower before you just start throwing herbicides to it. I think it's a much better solution. If you do need to use Clethodim or 2,4-DB, make sure it's the B, you know, go ahead. But I think we can do a whole lot better with just a good maintenance mowing program. And again, come back in and spray your Mike's Mighty Micros. I just got done doing that after mowing the clover. Do the same with your alfalfa. Also keep those fruit trees, your vegetables, everything else sprayed with it. Those micronutrients are just going to balance out that plant and reach its genetic potential. But thanks for joining us. We really appreciate the support. We hope that some of these tips are helpful to you. We got more coming. Make sure you're subscribed and you like this video, share them with your friends, and we'll see you on the next time here at Chasing Giants TV. God bless.